Yeah, there we go. That's Friday again here, and time for another episode of the old Mercedes. Now I did get these things cut out, and I've got the brakes sort of all put back together for now. New parts are on the way for it sometime soon. I cut out this bit of bad metal here, and same on the other side, and I'll fix that up. Then I'll start working back. There's some body work to do here, and there's body work to do around the back wheels. For the most part, they aren't too bad. A little bit there and a little bit over here. But today got cut short because I've got a load of gravel came for, finally gonna have gravel out front here so I don't have to walk in the mud all the time. And it's raining, of course, and a load of gravel came and he did the front driveway, so I'm gonna go off with the tractor, which you hear popping away there, to see if I can level out what he dropped off. Nothing like gravel in the rain. Is there a song about that? No, that's about singing in the rain. Anyhow, hope you enjoy all this, and I'll see you again next week. Yeah, I'm going to start putting this all back together. So I've got this one here cleaned up pretty good, and there's behind there is the see if I can do this without breaking something. The emergency brake stuff, and it all looks nice. So this thing here, it's got this one hole right there, a small hole, and on here, I don't know if you can see that. Maybe you can. There's a little nib that comes out right there, and that's where that fits onto. So you get that lined up that way, and then it'll be nice and flat and straight. I'll do that, and then I'll put the brake caliper back on here and get it all hooked up again. And I'll show you that when it's done. Yeah, so there, that's all on. 2 bolts, one on the top here, one at the bottom, and then this, whatever you call that, where the brake line goes in, that's all in. I've tightened the brake line up good. The bolts there, I haven't put that little tab thing there. Remember when I took it apart, it was a pain in the ass. So I haven't put the tab back on in case I need to take it off again. But one thing I noticed about these brake calipers is they're designed to, you can knock this pin here out, 2 pins out, then the brake pads will just slide out and you can put new brake pads in without taking the caliper off. Cool, that's a good design, as long as the caliper is not seized, right? Good. Yeah, so now the front end, like this, I'll just clean this all off fairly well. I might take a Q-tip and a bit of that solvent to the back there just to make sure it's cleaned up good enough. Then we'll put some new grease on it and put it back together with put the whatever you call that thing, put the bearings back into it with a bit of new grease on them. It all looks pretty good. It's only got, 1968 to 2021. What's that? That'd be 40 plus 20 is 60 plus 3 is 63 years. Maybe 64 years, because usually 1968 would come out in 1967, right? Isn't that amazing? No, it can't be 60. It must be 54 years. Because I'm only 66 and I was born in 1954. Anyhow, you do the math. Yeah, for you, all you that are just as bad at math as I am, so 53 or 54 years. There you go. Yeah, there, so I put the drum back on, or the rotor back onto the axle, and it's got those 5 bolts with the 10mm Allen key in it, and I torqued them all down to this little white dot here, which is around 63 or 65, which, when in doubt, 65 will do. Yeah, there, so the bearing race on this side looks very nice and clean. I don't see anything wrong with that. So I just cleaned it off with a bit of paper towel, and then this bearing here, when I go to put it in, I'll put new grease on that. When I put it in, I did stuff new grease into the back bearing from behind. I sort of swished it in with my finger and pushed it in around there. So it's got new grease in the back there. And this one here has got new grease in the front. So we'll put it together and see how it looks out. Yeah, there you go. That's all back together there. This thing, this bolt that holds it on, tightens on with a number 6 Allen key. So what you do is tighten that on so it's more than finger tight, just finger tight. Then twist the wheel a bit, like that, back and forth, just to get the bearing seated nicely. Then tighten it down with a wrench till it gets kind of feeling sort of tight. Then back it off about, it was about to here, and I backed it off to here, so maybe about a quarter turn back. You sort of feel that it's right. There's no shaking in the bearing, and everything feels nice. And that disc, whatever you call that rotor looks good. Nice looking. That did a nice job. I'll wait and see. The proof is the new lips. The proof is in the pudding when it gets the brakes on there, and see how things are working. Anyhow, that's a good start right there. There you go. It's all back together in there. Those couple of bolts up here somewhere, right here, and one down below there on the bottom. And underneath this little tin plate is where that steel line hooks in. So everything seems to run, turns nice and clean, no noises. That feels good. Now, I'm going to see if I can hook that pressure bleeder that I have up there. If you remember that from the BMW, see if that'll do the work here now. Because I've got to get the old fluid out of these lines, it's all yucky. Yeah, there, I've got it hooked on. I filled up the reservoir here with fluid, and then I hooked this thing onto it and just pressured it up. It's up to, 14 or 15 pounds there, 14. I'm going to leave it sit for a bit and see if it's holding pressure. Then I'll see if the fluid will push through under that pressure before I fill up this thing with fluid and have to dump it back and forth between containers. Anyhow, see what happens. There, it all seems to be holding pressure. I've got the car lifted up now, and I'll go around and to the back side with my 11mm wrench, which keeps disappearing. Ah, here it is in a very clever pocket. So I've got an 11mm wrench, which is what loosens off that thing back here. And then I've got a reservoir there ready to catch it. There's a little bit already in there, but that's from before. So I'll just see what I can do here. I'll loosen that. And see if anything comes. So far, nothing. So I think that there's something wrong with the brake system, that it's not allowing brake fluid to come to the back. And I think it's that valve right in the middle of this thing in here. So I'll take a closer look at that. I'll just check the pressure on the other thing. And just, I don't think the pressure is likely changed. No change in the pressure on that. So there. That was what I suspected, that the back brakes just aren't, fluid's not going to the back brakes, or something's not quite right. So, let's see if the pressure will come off on this one here. I'll give it a twist with the wrench. See what happens. And then that might take some, whoops, I'll point towards where I'm going here. Geez, that one there is tight. How come? It was loose a minute ago. Oh, there. There, it loosens off now. Am I pointing somewhere else where you can't see anything anyhow? Can't see anything because it's too damn dark anyhow, right? Jeez, this thing's a pain. There's a couple of little bolts right in the way there. Yeah, it seems that there's no fluid coming back this way. Gotta wonder why. And I think I'll get a light and I'll show you why. what I think it is anyhow. Where's my light? Way over here. Here's my light. So now, get around all this stuff here. Still nothing happening in that. No fluid moving. And underneath here, let me get underneath here and find this thing that I'm thinking is the culprit. Right there. Whoops. So that thing right there is kind of a brake thing. Don't know for sure what it is, but I think it's what's causing the problem at the back here, that it's no fluid going. Because it seems to be the junction, the main junction. I don't know what the hell it does, that thing. But it might be a pressure sensitive thing that only works when you're pressing the brake pedal. Maybe I'll press the brake pedal a couple of times before I give up on it and see what happens. Because the front end can't do anything. We'll see what happens with the back end. Yeah, so here's one of the culprits in my brake problems. This device here, which is sort of a pressure regulator for the rear end, and it makes it so that this is before the days of what do you call that, automatic braking, you know, like, or anti-lock stuff. So this thing here, this device that's right here, would hold pressure away from the back wheels and let the front wheels take the first brunt of braking, and then as the pressure got greater on the front wheels for slowing it down, this thing would crack open and put pressure to the back wheels, and that would keep the back wheels from locking up while the front wheels were you know, free stroking there or coming down. Anyhow, early anti-lock braking, I guess it was. But this valve device here seems to be locked up and not allowing any brake fluid to go. Brake fluid is coming here to here fine because I just let a bunch out, but it won't get past there. So I have to take this whole device off of here and see if I can get it working again or replace it. Yeah, that's where it came out of right there. So here it is over here. I'll show you. Kind of a 1968 Gizmo, heavy duty. We'll take it apart and see what it says. In the book, it says if it needs to be repaired, you should replace it, but I don't really know if there'd be a replacement around for that thing. Yeah, there's all the pieces there now. This is the housing, which is, you know, big. Then this piece here, whoops, where am I here? Too many pieces. Hang on. So this piece here, which a couple of O-rings on it, and it's got a bolt and a spring-loaded thing here. I cleaned that off with some what do you call that stuff? Moonshine, which is rubbing alcohol, and it goes back into this end right here, I think. No, it goes into this end here, Sutton Law, and then this piece, the spring goes on here, and all sorts of stuff goes back together, and this is the housing for it here. I don't think that's supposed to have any brake fluid in there, but it does. I guess there's an adjustment here for it if you really know how to adjust it. Anyhow, adjustment here for it if you know how to adjust it. But we'll just say it's factory adjusted. I'll clean that off, put it back together, and see if I can make it go back into service. Yeah, there we go. It's all back together. I used well, I had help from Sam, but I also used this big C-clamp to sort of compress that spring in there, and that pushed it all together again. Kind of a two-person job though, this one. Now we'll see if maybe it'll work or maybe it won't work. We'll find out soon enough. Oops, I was pointing the wrong way there. We'll see if it works or not. First off, I'll install it back in its spot back there where that light is. Then I'll hook up the two lines that go to the wheels, but I won't hook up the main line in from the front until I get some clean fluid running out the back from there. Yeah, so the biggest problem with the brakes is these rubber lines. I think they all need to be replaced because they seem to have broken down and aren't letting fluid through, or aren't working properly. These ones might be okay, but the two at the back, both the ones in the back are plugged. So I've taken them off, and then I'll get new lines and we'll get them on, and sometime soon make some progress. Yeah, rubber hoses everywhere are no good. So I was jiggling this fuel line when I was working on the brakes over there, and then I looked around and it was going drip, drip, drip. So right in here, there was a little, like a crack in it right there. So now I'm draining all the fuel out. Slowly but surely it's coming. I've got 2 gallons out of it already, or yeah, I think I'm working on gallon number 3 here. So 3 gallons of gas coming out of it. Might be getting close to the bottom. We'll see. Yeah, so there, the gas tank is finally empty. Takes forever. It took about 5 or 6 gallons out of it. Anyway, that's it for today. Gotta go cook dinner now. Yeah, so here I am. It's, what day is it, I wonder? One of those days, Tuesday. Anyway, so I did order up the new rubber hoses that go in here and on the other side and on the front too. Because I figure if the back ones are wore out, the front ones are wore out. You can see where it hooks on right over here somewhere. And so, what I'll do now is I'll take apart the back brake and rebuild that caliper. And I also ordered new tie rod ends for it and some bushings. So, see what happens when that stuff gets here. It'll likely be here next week sometime, or maybe the end of this week. You never know with when it's going to go. But I'll fix up I'll do my farmer grinding on the brakes, and that'll be good. Yeah, I was able to get a new hose on that where it hooks onto the gas tank there. So the gas tank's empty now. I had to take about 5 gallons of gas out of it, which sort of just drained out right there. I put 1 gallon into the lawnmower, put a gallon into Sam's motorcycle, and then there's a couple more gallons around. Yeah, so here you are sometimes, and the other wheel wasn't too bad, but this one here, this caliper over here, or the plunger, or whatever you want, like the piston, that's the piston in that side, is in there fairly frozen tight. It'll move like a 1/4 inch one way or the other, but it won't come out. This was the same on this side. It would move a little bit more. So what I've done is I go ahead and I got this one to pop right out, so, and then put it back in so I'd have air blocking here. I've got all the passages closed, and in that side there I'm just working it. So I go and push it out with air. I'll show you. Maybe it'll pop this time and I'll be a happy guy, but I don't think so. So I put some air to it and push it out. You can hardly see that move, but it did move. Then I take my other special tool special tool, what do they call these things? Special tool C-clampish, and I just pull it back in tight again. I don't know if you saw that or not. Then I take the C-clamp off it and hit it with air again, and I keep going back and forth until eventually it'll come out of there. Maybe you saw that move. It looked like it made it a bit farther that time. Do it again here and see what happens. Put my special tool back on. So you can watch in there. As it it's pushing that back into the pistons, going back into where it's supposed to go. Now I'll do it a couple more times and then I'll quit boring you with it. So a few more and it might come apart. Just have to be patient. I'll let you know when it does come apart. See if I can turn off the camera. Yeah, so there it took about another 4 times, and then you can see that it's ready to come out there now. So I'll take off that C-clamp and I'll put a, so I'll take off this C-clamp here, and then I'll put a brake shoe or two in between, so they can't get too far. That might be enough, one brake shoe, see what happens, and then put a bit of air to it and see what happens, see which side pops out. Well, that side seems to have popped out, so see if we can get the other side out. Now I should be able to get them out anyhow. Yeah, there we go, I got these brake pads cleaned up. Mind you, I've ordered a new pair, so I just figured I'd clean them up anyhow, and they're not completely wore out. This thing here is, the one half is cleaned up and honed. This one isn't honed yet, but this side over here I've got it cleaned up and honed out. So it's a working model. And then the pistons are there. I see a damaged, or yeah, right here there's a little bit of damage on the whatever you call that. That's the cast. That was where I was pounding on it to get that piece of hardware out of there, which did come out, but I guess it took a bit of the one of them took a bit of the cast with it. It just was seized in there pretty good. Anyway, it should be all right. I don't think it's an issue. It's not a safety thing, so we're okay. Yeah, so there's side number 2 cleaned up. There's side number 1 cleaned up. They both look pretty good now. Now I got to clean these pistons off. I'll just take the grinder to the top of them there and see if I can clean them up a bit. You don't touch the side of them except for to clean them off with a bit of solvent. Yeah, there's the pistons all set to go. So I think I'm done for the day. These 2 things are ready to go. I forgot those little washers soaking in some brake fluid there. Hopefully I'll clean them off. They're the only things that don't come in the kit, and I think I've mentioned that before. Then after I get that caliper put back together, I'll do this with my grinding technique. There we go. That'll be tomorrow. All for today. Yeah, back on to reassembly. So I put in the rubber ring that goes in there. I cleaned it all out pretty well. Then just set that on there. And now I'll pull that in with my C-clamp about halfway, and then this time here I've put the rubber seal onto, like the rubber seal goes in here, onto it before I stick it in there. That way it's easier to get it all assembled. Last time I didn't do that. There's side number 1 assembled. Now I'll do side number 2, and then I'll put the everything back together. Yeah, there it is, all together. So these things here, you torque them down to just the right tightness, like about 25 or something. I sort of just have a feel for it that I like. And then this thing here goes in. Save one of these pins for sending in last, and then so put that pin in first, then put this thing underneath it, then put that pin in, and that works. But it takes a little bit of pushing and shoving to get that in there right. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, there you go. My redneck lathe is all set up again. So this one here just needs to be cleaned off a bit. It's all actually in pretty good shape for as far as the sides of the surface goes. So I'll just clean it off and make it look good. Yeah, there you are. Can't feel any ridges on it. It all feels good to me. We'll try it out. If I have to, I'll just get it done more, but I don't want to go too far on it for no reason, because I think it was actually a fairly new rotor to start with. So we'll leave it at that for the back. That's the back side done. Now the front side's needs a little bit more intense work. But first I gotta, what do I have to do? Get the caliper off, and then I have to do this. And that means taking apart the front Let's have a look here. What do I have to do? Don't get too far ahead of myself. Yeah, I got to take the bearing out. Then I'll clean up the bearings and stuff. So I take off the caliper, take this bearing, this off, and take the bearing, well, the whole thing, the whole hub comes off with the bearings. Check the seal at the back, clean it up a bit, then clean this rotor up with the thing, and then goes back together. This was renewed a couple of years ago, so I think we're okay with that. Once I get new pipes like this, I don't know, you can't see it. Can you see that? Yeah, a little bit. It's hard to get the light right sometimes. Anyhow, that hose there is likely plugged like the back ones were. So, but their new ones are on the way. So while I'm waiting for them, I'll start doing a little bit of body work on it too. There we go. That's all back together. The brake line's back in. And now, here's something interesting. Before tie wraps happened, they had these little things here. And that metal is a metal wrapper. And it went around, and then you twist that cotter key. You put the end of the metal into the cotter key, and then twist into between the cotter keys there, and then twist it around to tighten it up. So I'll keep using it because there's nothing wrong with it. There's another one back here, right there, and there's same on the other side. And just where we would use a tie wrap, that's what's on this car. There you go. Yeah. So the other wheel, I took it apart. I took this all off, but I think I'll just split the caliper and pull the stuff off of there. What should I do? Likely it wouldn't hurt to do that. We'll see. Yeah, decided that splitting the brake caliper likely wasn't a good idea. So I just took it off. There, it's gone. And now I'll just take this apart, and then I'll show you what's going on inside there. Now here we are. So that's a number 6 Allen key there, metric-ish. Then you just take a wrench and, well, big pair of pliers or something. See if I can get these set right. Then it turns easy. It's just sort of snug on there, but when you put it all together, it's important not to get it too tight, because too tight will overheat the bearings, and not tight enough will let the bearings rattle. So it's got to be. It's like one of those Cinderella things, eh? Just right. But it comes off easy, and looks like, you know, there hasn't been very many people in on that yet, besides me. That side. Oops. So I sort of keep them in there. Now I'm going to pull this, and that'll, see, it pops the bearing right there. So there's the bearing, and it looks good. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I think that the inside race looks okay too. This thing in here, my hand's all covered with grease now. Yuck. But inside the bearing race looks like it's brand spanking new. So I don't think there's any trouble at all. Now I'm going to pull this off, so I'll get back to you as soon as I finish pulling that all apart. Yeah, so there it is. Now that axle looks fine. I don't see any wear back here where the bearing or the seal goes, and I don't see any problem with the seal here. So now I've got these 5 bolts around here. Remember that from the last one. And they'll come off with a bit of an impact wrench or something. And then then I got to grind up this thing here, the what's that called, a rotor. So we'll get to it. Yeah, there we go. It's running again. Now this one here I got it on fairly good. A little bit of a wobble to it, but there's centered well. I'll grind enough to get all this stuff off and the edge off, and I'll grind enough on this side to get that plus the edge off. But I got to get dressed up with my trusty mask and everything, because it throws a lot of dust around. So I'll get going. 16 here. There you are. See what that looks like? Pretty sad, isn't it? Anyway, I'll get out that. Here we are, the front side is pretty close to the way I want it. A couple of spots where it's, no, I think it's okay. I don't feel any problems with it. Feels good. Backside still needs a bit of work. There's still a little bit of a ridge left on here. But we'll get that looked after. Another set of grinding and it'll be done. Yeah, there you are. I ran the, I grinded it and grinded it and grinded it some more. And then I grinded it and grinded it on the back some more. So they both look pretty damn good. They feel good. And then I ran a straight edge up and down, and I can't see any, there's no bulges, and there's, whoops, what am I doing here? Can you see that? There you are. So there's no bulges and there's no dips anywhere that I can find. So I'm going to call it not a bad job. We'll leave it as that now, and then I'll do the repack the bearings with my grease and carry on. Yeah, there we are. It's all married up again to the hub. So I'll put some grease in here, then I'll put it on the wheel. I'll clean that off first over there with some paper towel. Then I'll put some grease in here, put some grease in here, put the hub on the wheel, and then put the bearing in the proper spot. I'll show you. Yeah, there it's on the wheel, and then now I've just got to put the bearing back in there, and well, I'll pack the bearing. I've got a bunch of grease in there, but I'll pack the bearing also, because nobody ever got sent home for putting too much grease on them. Yeah, so this thing here, which holds the bearing in, which side's the right side to put on the inside, eh? So there's a little ridge on this one side of it. You can sort of see it there. This side here is nothing on it. This side's got a ridge on it, made to go up against that plate steel there. So that's the way it goes. Wonder if I got the other side right. I think I got the other side right. But we'll just put this on. And you tighten this on until it's tight, and then swing the wheel around a bunch, tighten it on a bit more. Then once you get it to where you think it's right, like there, it turns nice. No sound, can't hear anything. And you turned in a bit more. Now I'll get a wrench and I'll tighten that in a bit. Hang on a second till I get a wrench. I get grease all over my hands so I don't handle the camera too much. This wrench here will be good. So that's tight, and then it doesn't move very easily, but there, it's moving more easily now. It might go tighter. No, it won't. So I'm going to spin it there a couple of times. Spins pretty nice. Now that's a little bit over tight, so that would overheat the bearings. So now, let it out about a quarter turn, about there. And that should be, that feels nice. That should be good. Tighten that thing up and we're done. Where is it? My wrench. Where is it? My wrench. There's a number 6 Allen key. Got to be over there somewhere because it's not over here. How do things just fly away here? Eh? How do things just fly away? Got to be somewhere. Anyway, I'll find it, I'll tighten it up, and I'll let you know. Do you see it? I don't see it. I'll find it. Yeah, there they were, hidden underneath that yellow thing, right? What do you know? So you just tighten it up with this. And it doesn't take much. You don't have to crank at it too hard just so it's not going to back itself out. Now that's a working model there. I'll put the caliper back on, and that'll be all that needs, the attention that needs for now. We're gonna, I'm going to get new line here. I think I talked about that. New brake line for that. And then I've got some new bushings and stuff coming. I'm not sure which ones I've got, but they'll show up. And then I'll figure out where they go. And this cover just goes on here, and you put it on there and you tap it on with a little hammer. Happy, happy it is now. Okay, now I'll put the brake caliper on, it'll be good. There you go, it's all done. And I put this dust cover back on here, and it spins free, no problems there. The bolts, the big bolts here that hold it, I torqued them down to 75 foot-pounds. Just to, I don't have the specifications for it, but when in doubt, 75 is a good number for big bolts like that. Same on this side here, I torqued them down to 75. That's that one and that one. Now you have to hook up the brake line before you put those bolts on, because this little dust cover here, I don't know if you can see that. That dust cover here is held on by these bolts, so the brake line's got to be in there before the bolts go in there. Anyway, that's done. Yeah, now I suppose, got to back off here so you can see what's going on. I suppose the easy spot would be to start at the, well, not necessarily easy, but a good spot to start would be at the front, and I'll work back. I'm going to take all the chrome off anyhow, so I'll work on taking off the front bumper and just seeing what I have to do to fix that up a little bit, where the bumper's good, but where it holds onto the car, or where the car holds onto it, needs some work. Then I need to do some work on these, that's called an inner fender there, and that'll come off. It's only held on by bolts and screws, so that'll come off, and then I can actually fix it properly here, because I fixed it before, but I didn't do it as good a job as I could have done. So I'll fix it, make it look right. And a little tiny dent right here that's like a parking lot dent or something. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see it right there, right here. And it's a parking lot dent, and I'll be able to get to the inside of it once I have this inner fender off. And I'll just pick away at that stuff while I'm waiting for parts to come for the suspension and steering. Then back here, mostly the running boards, I think I've got them addressed. They're all right. And then, but this, you can't see that very well because there's no light back here. Anyhow, but there, you can see that now, maybe. There's fiberglass in here and fiberglass around the back there that I'll take out and replace with metal. And anywhere else that I find fiberglass, I'll try and take it out and replace it with metal. Then I'll give the car a paint job. The consensus is that that's a nice color, and I think I believe you. So I'll keep that color, but just freshen it up, because it's been, when was it painted? Around the year 2000, so 20 years ago it was painted. And it's done all right for a 20-year-old paint job. And so if I just give it another, I'll just give it a light sanding and paint over it, give it another coat of paint. Same way I did the Beamer, then it might look pretty good. There's some nice bodywork in this car. It's a beautiful little car. And I'll see about, I'm going to look into an aftermarket air conditioner for it, because you can't really take it in this, like it's a summer and fall, or a spring and fall car, if you don't have air conditioning in it. So I'll see what I can come up with there. That'd be just something interesting to do. Whether I can do it, I wonder if it's past my skill set. Nah, I don't think so. Anyway, there we go, I'll carry on. Yeah, so here I am. I'm gonna see if I can fix up this front business here. This is all repaired with fiberglass, so I'm gonna take it and change it to metal. This side here, I did some metal work on it quite a few years ago, and I can do a better job now, so I'll take it apart and see if I can redo it. Got the screws out, but I had this welded on here. Guess I wasn't thinking too far ahead there. Yeah, there I've taken off the outer shell that I welded on there a bunch of years ago. This is all pretty weakish in here. So I'll replace all that stuff. And here's some of the metal I took off of it. And it's, not bad for what I did then, but not as good as what I can do now. Anyhow, this is 22 gauge, and I usually use either 20 or 18, so I'll change it up so that it's a little bit stronger steel. There's not much to this stuff. It goes in there. Yeah, Tony's in here inspecting the workload. What do you think, eh? Oh, there I go. Yeah, cough, cough. Anyhow, I got this piece here cut out to my satisfaction. Here's the old piece right here. Now the only thing I have for a reference point is this screw here. Can you see that? Yeah, right there. There's a screw hole. That goes right here. Oh, right there where my finger is. So then it's got to be 6.5 inches this way, over to here, to the edge of it. And then in there, I'm going to make a box just slightly smaller than the size of what's right here, right now. Slide it in there, and then use that as the, that'll be my box. It'll be just slightly smaller, but it should fit and come together pretty nicely. Yeah, so likely building a box is not a great idea. I'll just slowly go along, fill it in, make it the same as it is right now. Fill this back wall first, fill this next, then build myself a little box to fit out in here. Then finish it off. And that will make it just like new, we hope. Yeah, so here, wait, I'll get the light. Here we go. So I've got this all cut out and ready to put in a new piece. Here's the old piece that I took out right here. So that one there is cut out, and there was some repair work done on it before, so I'll just build a new one and get it up into the spot here. But first I'll take off this other side, and then I'll just build both of them, because this was all done with like fiberglass here. This is all covered with fiberglass. I'm pretty sure there's metal underneath it. And then these two bolts go through right through. On the other one, they were just sort of into the one side of it, but I'll see if we can't get that back to being right-ish. Yeah, so there you go. There's just stuffed full of fiberglass in there. Now, that's all off. I guess it was effective, but we'll fix it up so that it's more closer to what it looked like when it came out of the factory. See what it looks like inside here. Well, I think we're all right for the most part in there. I'll just clean up the edges a bit and then start welding some new bits on there. Looks like from the factory they did a half of the channel back and then a half of the channel in. That might be the way to go, because the front half had some bolts built into it, and it might be easier to get it all welded up that way. Anyway, we'll see what I can come up with.